A very good morning, Mark. Here it is going on 8 a.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, the 7th of May. And let's have a look how the markets are shaping up going into this US session. US dollar index, 3 days of lower lows, almost lower highs, but certainly a downturn over the last 3 days. We saw patterns over the yesterday was a little bit different to the previous 2 days. The previous 2 days, US dollar weakness, US dollar had sold off during the Asian European sessions and then came and fought back in the US session, leaving these wicks behind. Yesterday, weak US dollar to start, but that carried on for the day. US dollar demand absent throughout the day, and sellers had a strong day yesterday, establishing support at 98.92. Little gap up to start today, but so far nothing happening. You can see that a doji candlestick sitting right now at 99.27. Buyers will, of course, be looking to come up and test this resistance at 99.90, get above 100, or at least test 100, where sellers will look to continue yesterday's move lower, support being at 98.94, on the way to the even lower support at 98.68. Let's have a look at the S&P 500. And over the past 2 days, you can see that there has been limited demand, but certainly buyers have held on to the highs they made, and when resistance was set up at 5,728, that was following 9 successive up days, and as I say, now hanging around that resistance area. Today, so far in pre-market trading, Wall Street will open up in an hour and a half, a small gap up from yesterday's close at 5,632. Today, 5,670 is the open price. Come off a little bit, and we'll see whether there is the sell-off from the last 2 days does continue and sellers take it below the 5,600, which is a relative level. Alternatively, whether buyers can add on to the small gap up and test and break above 5,672 and perhaps higher. Let's have a look at gold. 2 very strong days on gold, bounced up from the support area at 3,220, 3,230. That's where we had support. A floor was established. 2 strong days yesterday, resistance set at 3,432. Gap lower to start the day so far, but there is demand for gold. It's safe haven status, and every time there is a bit of a pullback like this gap, seems to be it's a better price for buyers to get in, and buyers do step in. They've stepped in at every level. Today, 3,384, or even lower, 3,359.60. That seems to be the support area. Buyers may well look to come up and test resistance at 3,436. That's yesterday's very high close. I think the highest close that we've had, and may well go on to test all-time high 3,500. Sellers, on the other hand, will look to come and test 3,323, yesterday's support, to go lower. Let's have a look at Brent oil. Certainly has fought back in the last 2 days from the very low support here at $58.85. 2 strong days. Yesterday, resistance established $62.83. Came back and closed at $62. A gap up to start today. So from the 62 close yesterday, opened today around the $62.50 mark, hanging around that resistance area as we speak. Buyers will, of course, look to break above yesterday's resistance, an area that buyers haven't been able to break above over the past few days. Buyers will look to test and break above that level. A continuation of the very long-going downtrend would see sellers looking to sell off this resistance area, bounce down of this resistance area, come back down to the 60 level. Let's have a look how Bitcoin is performing. Strong day yesterday from Bitcoin. Again, for the second day, bounced up off this ascending trend line and the support area in the low 90,000 area, came up and established resistance at 97,000, and right now hanging around that 97,000. Bias is up. There is demand at this point, and buyers will be looking to come up and test this 98,000 resistance and possibly higher, that elusive $100,000 mark. Sellers will be looking to, from this resistance area where we're sitting now, between 97 and 98, sellers will be looking to bounce down off this resistance area, come back down and test the lower 90,000s and the ascending trend line, which had bounced off yesterday. Good trading, and I will see you at the end of today's session.